noon and a very special week for the Golden Knights organization and a real busy week as well. Dave Gosher, Shane Knighty, Gary Lawless, all present and accounted for from Rock Creek Cattle Company here in beautiful Deer Lodge, Montana. I know, Gary, you've been here before. Shane and I have never been invited. We understand why. This is our inaugural visit, but what an awesome spot.
Wow.
Bill Foley, this is one of his many business ventures. Bill's going to join us here in about 15 minutes to talk about Rock Creek, but also an important week for his hockey team and a big week for us. We're going to have nighttime at noon and also full draft coverage right here from Rock Creek all week long. First round tomorrow and then rounds 2 through 7 on Wednesday. But fellas, what a treat to be in this setting, to have all the hockey operations people here for the draft, which starts tomorrow.
Well, unique circumstances. So a unique situation with the draft being virtual. I know Gary and you have both been on the draft floor previously, and this is the new version of it for this year. So it'll be a little different, but here we are. As you mentioned, what a place to be here at Rock Creek Cattle Company. Just an amazing property. We've gotten a little look, but the main focus is to be on a big week here. The draft, so important for any organization.
Pretty fascinating. Just a little bit of a look in to what's happening here at Rock Creek. Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee sat with their amateur scouting staff all morning long, and they broke around lunch, and now Kelly and George have gone to another one of the cabins here, the lodges, and are with their pro scouting staff. So all morning long, they would have, continued to refine,
The draft list.
their list. They would have, they kind of, they layer the lists, right? So there's right now there's one layer atop, Alex Lafreniere all by himself. But then there's a layer of other players and another layer of other players. And they put those lists together, and then that gives them their opportunity when the draft does start. If depending on however teams draft, their layer, if they get to their pick and there's a guy from a higher layer available, they know that that's the direction they want to go, and then they have that discussion. So really kind of refining the process and the details right now. Now, what happens? Normally, we'd be in a city that I think the draft was supposed to be in Montreal this year. It would be Friday and Saturday, and this would be Thursday. And you'd be in the hotel lobby, and there's a number of lobbies in the city where teams are, and general managers would be having their meetings and then coming down to the lobby, and you kind of hide behind the potted plant and hope to see two GMs having a discussion, and you take your mental notes, and then draft floor. You get a couple years ago, or actually last year, we were sitting in Vancouver, and all of a sudden, early in the first round, Kelly McCrimmon gets up, walks over to the San Jose Sharks table to Doug Wilson, leans down, says something. Doug looks up at him, sticks his hand out, they shake hands, and off goes Kelly, and then a trade gets announced shortly after. So that intrigue that you normally get to watch right in front of you, now what you need to do is stalk a GM and try and listen to his phone conversations, because
we're encouraging stalking.
That's the only
way
you can kind of find out what's going on, or you could be really foolish and text the GM right now, and all caps coming back at you if you interrupt them right now. I can tell you that.
Well, I can't get over the image of imagining Gary in a lobby trying hiding spots out.
A potted plant.
I should have said potted forest.
Don't jump in the pot.
We might need multiple. I don't know what kind of plant. Cactuses.
Yeah, a variety of trees.
Yes,
of trees.
That would
a
do
really
it.
big oak.
Yes, that would do it.
Just a big pillar.
Yeah, but it is a huge week, guys. And look, everything's changed. To your point, Gary, we were supposed to be in Montreal back in June. That didn't happen. So now, the NFL, and we've talked about this, they did a terrific job with a virtual draft. Now the NHL is going to have their version of it starting tomorrow. But just a huge week for the league, a huge week for the Golden Knights, and all these scouts that do all this work to lead up to this day.
Well, and not only that, Kelly McCrimmon said they did all their work preparing for a June draft.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. Everything got pushed back, so it's another evaluation, and all the tools totally different. It's all done virtually. All the meetings with the players instead of the NHL Combine where they do testing and interviews. Now they've had to hold those all over at Zoom or Microsoft whatever you have to conduct those interviews and get the best information you can. And it's a ton of work and a credit to all the organizations, especially Kelly McCrimmon, George McPhee, their staff. You said the amateur scouting staff, they've just what they've put in, and now, the excitement for them to finally get to tomorrow.
And there'll be a little bit of a tweak, first of all, no other team is doing it like Vegas. Most teams are doing it in their they've gone to their rink, their facility, and they've taken the game dressing room, and they've put a table in there, and they haven't brought all their staff. Most of it will be done virtually. So you have most of your amateur scouts and your pro scouts still at home, and they'll be doing it via Zoom. Golden Knights, put together a rigorous health and safety and testing program, brought their people here. We got tested before we left Vegas. We got tested this morning here in Deer Lodge again. And so for Vegas, it's different. And then normally you're at the draft table and you aren't really talking to anybody. Normally Kelly McCrimmon would have George McPhee on one side of him and Bobby Lowe's, his chief amateur scout, right beside him. And that would be the conversations kind of right there. And you don't yell across the table because everybody's around listening. So here, they'll mute they won't be on, the NHL's stream, and they'll have video of a player. Like they're getting closer to their pick. They've got a guy on the board. They might have video of that player that they're able to watch. If it's a guy from the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, Kelly McCrimmon will say to Raphael Pouliot, "Raph, tell me about him," and be able to kind of have an open conversation. And maybe there's another scout at the table, Ken Hawley,
can voice their opinions a lot clearer.
Yeah,
yes.
Ken Hawley, who does Eastern Ontario, can jump in and say, "You know what, I saw him in Ottawa one night. He did this." And it might be a positive thing, or maybe he checked out late in the game, or maybe his team was down 5-1 and he kept playing right to the very end. And that little nugget that this guy doesn't quit even when his team is down pushes him over the top. So in some ways this is not going to be as good, certainly for media, but for the Vegas Golden Knights, for how they've designed what they're going to do, it might be advantageous.
Well, the Golden Knights coverage here all week long, brought to you by Ahern Rentals, with over 54,000 pieces of rental equipment available nationwide. Ahern Rentals is ready to support your next project in construction, industrial, landscaping, and more. Ahern Rentals, Vegas-born since 1953. All right, guys, we've got the first round of the draft tomorrow, rounds 2 through 7 on Wednesday. Oh, by the way, the Golden Knights made a significant transaction on Saturday over the weekend. Rumored for a while, and the rumors were correct. Robin Lehner signing a 5-year contract extension to stay in Vegas. He does not get to unrestricted free agency. 5 years, $25 million for Robin Lehner to stay in Vegas. Here's what he had to say after he signed up long-term to stay with the VGK.
And the term obviously means a lot to me. I have a 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old son that has 5 different hockey jerseys, schools, friends, all that types of things. It's not been, we live a privileged life, but you want to give your family stability as well, and couldn't find a better opportunity and a better setting than here in Vegas, with a great community and a great fan base, organization, all those things. So, something I fought for, and for different reasons, it's taken its time, and now it's here. So it's a very good day for us.
Yeah, a huge day for the Lehner family, right? After 3 straight 1-year deals with Buffalo, the Islanders, and Chicago, now the security that comes with the money's pretty good.
Yeah.
Decent wage, but a 5-year deal to stay with Vegas.
Well, a decent wage for the Golden Knights for a player of Robin Lehner, who, if he would have went to UFA, you're talking about would have been it's a year of goalies. He would have been the number 1 on the list for where he's performed. Only Vasilevsky's been better for save percentage over the last 5 years. You love what he says for his kids. Although he'd need 1 more jersey to get to the level of my kids. They have 6. But good for him.
He's quite the collection in the 90 mansion.
But, and then that he fought for it. That's the thing that really sticks out for me. This is a guy that really has done everything right in his life and on the ice to get back to be an elite goaltender. He has the motivation. That's what you hear him, the passion. That not only now he got this contract because, number one, he deserves it, but he wants to fight for it still. It's not, okay, I got it, I can just cruise through. You can hear it in his tone when he speaks. There's a willingness, and I think that's important for an athlete to still have that drive. Even after signing the contract, he still wants to prove his worth. And that those comments he made throughout it really stuck out to me, because that's what you want to have in a player.
This is the power of the Golden Knights organization at its best. They traded Malcolm Subban for Robin Lehner. So Malcolm probably was going to move on. So in essence, Lehner is a free player. They didn't give up very much to get him. And then they signed him at a rate, $5 million last year. That's the 13th to 15th starting goaltenders. That's what they earned last year. That's middle of the pack, $5 million a year. He is number 3 statistically, top 3 statistically in the National Hockey League. So you've got the city of Las Vegas, players want to play there. You've got an organization that Bill Foley, George McPhee, and Kelly McCrimmon have built with an elite pro scouting staff. They're able to identify a player like this. They're able to make the deal. The way it was a pass-through deal where they got Chicago to hold cap, they got the Leafs to hold cap to make them get the deal, and then it was a blind date. Well, let's go out and see how it works out. And now they're married for 5 years. This is Kelly McCrimmon and McPhee and their staff at the very best, and it shows. We're hearing, all kinds of names of unrestricted free agents. Well, where do they all want to play? Vegas is at the top of all of their lists. And the reason is the organization, the community, the fan base, on and on. The only area where they're lacking is the TV broadcast.
No question
I
about
was
it.
going to say, Dave's the
That's
draw.
the only
That
problem.
could use a dramatic improvement, to say the least. So we're 12 minutes into the show.
That
We've
could be
had a
arranged.
potted plant reference and a blind date reference. I don't know what this has in store for the rest of the
It's going to be a good week.
But at least we got that going for us. We mentioned Bill Foley, who said get the entire hockey operations staff up here at Rock Creek. Bill is going to join us, and it's just such a treat. He's going to be on in the next couple of minutes, but a treat for us to see this. But I know, and you mentioned, Gary, you've been here, just how proud he is of this spectacular facility up here in southwestern Montana.
I can see why.
I was sitting
Why
beside,
wouldn't you be?
I was sitting beside Shane on the bus last night as we came in, and I made the entrance before, and it's just so majestic. Forget it. The cabins are beautiful, but it is the countryside, like Montana. This part of Montana is it's majestic. And we're coming in, and I'm watching Shane, just watching him,
it's my
see everything
playground.
for the first time. And
I'm a small town Canadian
exactly.
kid.
It's
This is my type of lifestyle. The only thing that's different is it's a little more hilly
and George
than the
McPhee
prairies.
George McPhee said to me today, he said, and it was quite interesting. He said, the more you come, every time you come again, you like it even more. And it's just as you pick up certain things about the landscape. I went and walked along a creek this morning. It's incredible.
You can maybe come back next week.
Yeah, sure.
We'll have to ask Bill.
You might have to.
I'll
ask Bill.
let you lead that
We
one.
might
with
not
Dave.
be invited back. I can understand that. But this is a big week for the Golden Knights, and full coverage right here on Fox Sports Las Vegas. But also thanks for tuning in on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, all of our social media channels. The Golden Knights unveiled their third jersey as well. It's been a big stretch here of days and a lot going on with the VGK, but the owner of the Golden Knights, Bill Foley, will join us when we come back nighttime at noon from Rock Creek Cattle Company here in Deer Lodge, Montana on Fox Sports Las Vegas. From Rock Creek Cattle Company in Deer Lodge, Montana, Dave Gosher, Shane Knighty, Gary Lawless with you nighttime at noon. Full coverage coming up of the NHL draft all week long. And, of course, free agency kicking in on Friday as well. We're joined by Golden Knights owner Bill Foley. Bill, it's been a busy stretch for your team, albeit in this weird world we're in now. Your season just ended not too long ago, but the Robin Leonard signing over the weekend, the stay in Vegas, and now Shane, what do you have there? You have an item.
We got to show
what is this
Bill.
all
You
about?
got to tell us. And to be honest, I saw the pictures. The first one I've seen live, and it is incredible.
Yep.
Like, tell us the thoughts, the process. Is this exactly kind of what you wanted?
Yeah, this is what a fantastic jersey. It's the first metallic jersey in the NHL. It took 7 iterations to get it right. Went back to him. It took us a long time. We wanted this jersey last fall, not just now.
Yeah.
But the results are in. It's a great looking jersey. We're going to be wearing it at home a fair amount, which is fantastic. If our fans buy these jerseys, our arena is going to look fantastic with this gold.
Oh yeah, just imagine
Yeah.
the seats.
And then on the back, a little one of my favorite sayings: "Always advance, never retreat." Inside the jersey, so it's really a pretty neat deal.
So you said it was 7 iterations to get it the way you wanted it. You're pretty hands-on with a lot of things. How hands-on and how involved were you in this?
I basically saw the all the iterations and kept on trying to get it a little bit different. Really get this metallic and shiny metallic gold was the key. Not just kind of a recessive gold or yellow and like many of the jerseys, but this thing is really gonna pop on the ice. It's beautiful.
And the stands.
And the stands. No, in the stands. Because if you think about our home jersey, the gray jersey, you're in the stands and you have this kind of gray mass, and then you'll have, if it's Blackhawks, you'll have a bunch of red here and there, and stands out. Well, this will really stand out. This will take care of those opposing fans.
Well, it looks phenomenal. When it was released the other, and I don't think we hadn't seen any, even around the office. It was pretty under wraps.
I had no inkling of how.
So
what
when
was
it
gonna
came
look like.
out, I'm like, this is fantastic.
Well, and it fits Vegas. It screams Vegas and the Golden. And he said, even I love that. I never noticed that before too. That's always advance, never retreat. That's to have that in the jersey. It's beautiful. It really is. Everything well done.
What's this week mean to you, Bill, on a couple of fronts? First off, it's a big week for the organization. You've got your amateur draft coming up the next couple of days, free agency at the end of the week. But under normal times, this would have happened in Montreal back in June, and we know, obviously, that didn't happen. To have your hockey operations staff at this beautiful place of yours, what's it mean to you to have this kind of all come together in one spot?
Well, I think what I really like is when the guys come up, just like you two, Dave and Shane. You walk in and you just feel the relaxation when you come on this property. It's 40,000-acre working cattle ranch, 2,100 cow-calf pairs. That's how the whole place started. We did bring in some longhorns, so now we've got some
Saw them.
some big, beautiful longhorns out because that's part of my Texas Panhandle ranching heritage from way back on my mom's side of the family. But it's so relaxing, it's so massive, and if you've seen Yellowstone, the movie or the TV show, this is Yellowstone. It's the same. It's the same sort of landscape and openness, and it's big sky country. Because if you go out at night and you look up, and it looks like the sky goes on forever, and the stars are bright, and I love having everybody here and appreciate it. I was just up with the pro scouts, and we were kind of reviewing a few things. They were filling me in on what's going on, and they all said to a man, they said, "This is so great. We can go to dinner. We come back. We talk. We're in these cabins. We complete communication. We don't have to worry about who's sitting behind us or beside us. Complete freedom of action." And then, of course, typical Canadians. No,
That's just me. Here I am.
I mean, they're trying to do everything as quickly as they can do it. So let's go play golf. Let's go skeet shooting. Let's go to the pistol range. Let's go to the archery range. Let's get out and go fishing. Let's do. So it's very interesting because I'm a country guy at heart from way back, and like many of my Western Canadian friends, all country boys, and
Well, most of us, yes.
yeah, it was just great.
Well, it is, and I said this is like a heaven playground for me. It's fantastic. Can't wait to get out. And I wanted to ask you, Bill, because now you go back to year one, your first draft. How much have you learned now here going into this one, and realizing how important it is to build this organization?
Yeah, I mean, I'm as you guys know, I'm pretty embedded
yes.
in the whole process in terms of the trade deadline and unrestricted free agency, and then the amateur drafts and all the sessions we have. So I would say right now, our amateur scouts, they're going to be bored. They're completely prepared. They have every iteration they can think of in terms of trading up, trading down, keeping what we have. Their lists. If this guy goes, then maybe we should trade down because then we don't have our chance to do this or this. So they're ready, and the pro scouts are doing the same thing, going through our team and looking at every other team that may have someone that might be of interest to us and get a few things done in this time period. And then, of course, I think they're about a half hour away from shooting, fishing, playing golf.
Yeah. Do you get excited at this time, like the
Yeah.
draft and all the the possible different scenarios that can happen?
Yeah, I really, because that's the way my mind works. Dyslexic left-hander, so so I like looking at all the variations and all the iterations, and it's interesting. I mean, before we can do anything on the bring-in side, we need to probably do a little adjustments on the take-out side. So that's what they're really, really looking at right now, and we don't need to change anything. We've got a great team, but you can always improve. You can always get a little bit better.
You mentioned the take inside, or I guess the staying side with Robin Lehner doesn't hit free agency, signs a 5-year deal to stay here. You've had Marc-Andre Fleury's been the face of your franchise here for 3 years, and now Robin Lehner comes in and plays terrific. What's it mean to you to have somebody like Lehner, who was going to be, if not the top free agent goalie on the market, decide that this is the place he wants to stay for the next 5 years?
Yeah, so we did our job. We got him in here. We did a couple things for him, and he and his family made sure they were comfortable, made sure he knew that Vegas would be a great home for him, for his family, on a long-term basis. And he was a fit. He's not just a great goalie. He's really a good human being, a good guy. And I haven't met his wife and kids yet, but I'm sure they're same quality. So I'm thrilled to have him and have that quality of goaltending in our, within our team. So we're going to see how things go here the next few days.
Well, before we let you go, 'cause I know we're going to let you go here right away. Can you give me the top 3 reference for Dave and I? What are the 3 must-dos at Rock Creek Cattle Company?
Well, you like to play golf.
Yeah.
So
number 1, the golf course.
Yeah. So this it's a Tom Doak golf course. It's Tom Doak is a minimalist, so he doesn't like to move too many things around in terms of dirt. So it's a beautiful golf course. Just got rated 99 in the world. It's been in the top 15 of new courses since 1960 consistently, but now it's our first time to really break into the number 99 in the world. So you've got to do that. If you like to fish, grab a guide and go down in the creek, and there's some really good fishing holes. We dug out the creek and made holes that are 8 to 12 feet deep, so the fish can winter over and they can survive during the winter time. And then if you like to shoot, I love shooting pistols, so we have a great pistol range. But we got sporting clays and skeet, long range rifle. We've got a sniper's rifle that you can take out something at 600 yards, 700 yards.
Be careful.
Well, there's lots. Well, I'm all set. I don't know if I want to see Dave there.
No,
but,
Lord knows what would happen.
And then go out and see the elk. Look for the elk.
Yes.
We have probably 1,200 elk and 5 or 6 different herds on the property, and they're easy to see. They're all over the place.
Well, we're kind of like the scouts. The work gets in the way of the fun. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. Great job on this third jersey. It's going to be phenomenal. I'm sure it'll fly off the shelves like everything else, really. But, hope we can get to a spot in our world where how great would a jam-packed Fortress look with fans wearing those.
Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Stanley Cup wearing these.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I like it.
I like where your head's at. That's good stuff. Bill, thanks, and thanks for having us here. It's a real treat for us to be able to come up
see
here.
you guys.
You bet. Bill Foley, owner of the Golden Knights, joining us on a special edition, nighttime at noon here at Rock Creek Cattle Company. Spectacular spot in Deer Lodge, Montana. We're going to step aside. When we come back, Elliot Friedman's going to join us, insider from Sportsnet in Canada, on a busy week in the NHL, draft over the next couple of days, and free agency by the end of the week. That's next on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Well, I think it's going to be gold. Yeah, and I expect just the best. That's what I expect.
I've heard rumors about gold. That's my prediction. It's going to be golden jersey.
Oh, we see a letter.
Ooh, cool box, eh?
That's nice.
It is gold, eh?
That is sick. I expected that.
Wow, I'm surprised how like gold it is, you know?
This one is so sick. Always advance, never retreat. Bill Foley.
I was hesitant how like they can make this gold, but they did a good job.
They did a great job.
This is also the name of the new captain. Here we go, Captain Carlson.
Is that for me?
Yeah. By the way, I'm not the captain. All right. Now we got a pair of sick kicks.
Ooh.
That's gold.
Those are sick shoes, though.
So I'm gonna just put these on, I guess.
Ooh.
I'm still waiting for my gold hat.
There we go. I hope it fits.
There we go. That's my gold hat.
This is Jonathan Marceau, and this is So Vegas.
I'm William Carlson, and this is So Vegas. Maybe we can get some golden gloves. That's gold right there. This might as well be real gold. I'm wearing all gold. The golden Sparta. I feel golden.
The Henderson Silver Knights have a name and logo. Be the first to night up with the official HSK gear. Available now at the Arsenal and VegasTeamStore.com. Get your inaugural men's and women's Henderson Silver Knights t-shirts and hats and be the first ones to represent the Valley's newest team. Don't miss out. Go Knights, go. We are with you from Rock Creek Cattle Company in Deer Lodge, Montana. Special edition of Nighttime at noon and a week's worth of shows here, including 2 draft shows tomorrow and Wednesday, and free agency kicking in on Friday. Dave Gosher, Shane Knighty, Gary Lawless with you, and special treat for us to be here at Rock Creek. And joining us on the phone, one of the premier insiders in the business from Sportsnet in Canada, Elliot Friedman, joining us. Elliot, thanks for taking the time. We know you don't have much going on, so to say the least. But thanks for your time here. Free agency kicking in Friday. We're in the buyout period now as well, obviously. What intrigues you the most about the buzz around the league and, leading into the draft tomorrow and then free agency by the end of the week?
Honestly, Dave, I think it's the stuff that it's unexpected. We know what storylines we're supposed to be following. One's Alex Pietrangelo, one is Taylor Hall, another is Torrey Krug, and then there's all of a sudden the curveballs that come at you from where you're not expecting. Like today, Matt Niskanen telling the Philadelphia Flyers he's retiring. And now you're looking at this saying, like, oh, okay, now what does this mean? Okay, and now how does this change everything? So I think that's the kind of stuff that kind of gets you, is that you're sitting there saying, okay, I've got to deal with this, and this, and you're like, what? Now I got to deal with that too. It's always fun for that reason.
Elliot, obviously it's going to be kind of compressed this week. It's one day after the draft. Free agency starts. Do you think there'll be more dealing prior to the draft, or do you think that a lot of stuff happens on Thursday leading into Friday?
I do think, Gary, that there are some teams that would like to make draft-related deals. I think there are teams who want to do some things around the first round tomorrow night. I think at the top of the draft, obviously, I think the Rangers are going to pick. I think LA is going to pick second. I think Ottawa is going to pick third. And then some people are really starting to wonder, what's going to happen around there. Steve Yzerman is unpredictable. Ottawa has said they're going to listen on that second pick they have, which is fifth. Anaheim has told teams they're willing to move down a little bit from six. The whole thing with the Russian goalie, where's he going to go here, and is somebody going to trade up to try to get him? I think that what could happen then, Gary, is that we could get deals tomorrow night depending on how the draft kind of unfolds and what teams like Detroit, Ottawa, and Anaheim are willing to do. And then I think you're going to get sort of like the player deals. The toughest thing right now, though, guys, is that I'm hearing there's a lot of talk. The problem is who's really got money to do things. And, the qualifying offer deadline is tomorrow. We're still waiting. We had one surprise buyout today. I think there's still the chance for a couple more. I think everybody's kind of waiting to see at the absolute last minute what their options really are. And then we get one, and then we might get a lot.
It's interesting you bring that up, Elliot. I was going to ask you, everything's unique and unpredictable, even more so this year with everything going on in the world. But do you think who gets hurt worse in this? Do you think the RFAs or the UFAs being in this situation?
Shane, I think it just depends on your value. To me, the one guy who looks like he's going to get what he wants is going to be Pietrangelo.
Where's he going to go?
And then what's that?
Where's he going to go?
Well, you guys might know the answer to that question better than I do.
There's been a lot of rumors out there, Elliot.
You should have asked the guy who was just on the show before me.
Yeah.
He might know the answer. Look, put it this way. I think if he gets to free agency, you guys are definitely in it. There's no question about it. I'm not coming on a Vegas show to butter you guys up, but there's no question that playing in Vegas has become something that a lot of players are interested in. It's become one of the better destinations in the NHL, and I think if he gets there, I think you guys are very much in this. Shane, after that, I think there's a lot of, it depends on how flexible, you really want to be. I think there's some guys who are worried they're going to get squeezed. I think you're going to see some people, I think it depends a lot of it on your personality. I think there are some guys who are going to gamble a bit and say, no, I believe in myself, and, I'm not going to feel pressured to take a deal I don't agree with. And I think you're going to see some guys who say, you know what, I'm just taking a deal so I have a place to land.
That was my strategy.
What's that?
That was always my strategy. Second part.
It's
Elliot,
not a bad strategy. It really isn't.
Elliot, the Leonard deal was something that, we'd heard 5x5 for a long time. And the same thing that when I first heard it, I was like, well, boy, if that's true, why aren't we announcing it? Because that is a fantastic deal for that goalie. Your take on the Leonard signing?
Well, I think the only question about Leonard was just he's been through a lot, right? And I think the thing that made it happiest for me, just as a person, is that this year has been a very difficult year on the world. And I think you need to know. I think everybody out there needs to know that you can go through a very difficult time, and you can still, if you can get yourself through it, you can still be rewarded for it. I think it's a very positive message for kind of where the world is. I don't think anybody doubts Leonard's talent and Leonard's ability. It's just that as a person, he's been through so much, and I don't want to belittle it, and I don't want anyone to think I'm making fun of it. I just think some of the teams that had him in the past were wary of that. Did they want to make the 5-year bet on him? And obviously, you guys know him. You guys had him, and you're willing to make that chance. So I think that was the only question, Gary, that anyone ever had was, did they feel comfortable with giving the term to him, and obviously you guys did.
Elliot, obviously, we're joined by Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet in Canada. Elliot, now the situation is Robin Lehner signs the 5-year extension. You've got Marc-Andre Fleury with 2 years left on his deal. We know what he has meant to this franchise since day one, but from where you sit, how do you see that situation shaking out?
Well, I think the difficult thing for your organization, Dave, is that the trade market for goaltenders is not great. For example, Pittsburgh's trying to trade Matt Murray, who's won 2 Stanley Cups, and they're having a lot of trouble doing it. They were in conversation with Chicago about it. Chicago was given permission to reach an extension with Murray. The two sides were unable to do it, so they've both moved on for the time being. But I heard that Pittsburgh was not going to be getting a lot in return. It was not going to be like a great quote-unquote hockey deal for the Penguins. And I just think that right now there's so many goalies available on the free agent market, Dave, that it's very, very difficult to trade a goalie and expect much in return. So unfortunately, the Knights are dealing from a position of weakness on this one. They're probably going to have to sweeten it for someone. And, the one thing I've heard, and I've heard this from multiple places, you guys really don't want to buy them out. I've heard philosophically, you don't want that on your cap for 4 years. I think that's not your preference. The question is, are you going to get to a point where you may have no choice but to do that? And I think that's going to be the question. What can you do to – I think basically Fleury is a goalie. I think people are interested in him. I just think the contract makes it difficult.
Elliot, how's your time?
I got a couple minutes.
Okay. Shane, nothing?
I thought you had something.
No,
for him.
I do.
You can't ask him he has time and then not ask him a question.
He told me he only had 5 to 7
He
minutes.
was just curious.
And we just wasted half of one. Elliot, do you expect that there will be a lot of cap-type moves that will go down after the draft, prior to free agency?
Well, yes, I think teams will try. I mean, the one thing everybody has to remember is that in the off season, you can go 10% over the cap. So if you're really stuck, you have a bit of a cushion there that you can use to do things with. But yes, I do think some teams are trying. I think Arizona is trying. I think Buffalo is trying. I think there are teams like that who are trying to get down well below the cap and are trying to handle things that way. I think there are teams closer to the cap, depending on what you guys do. You're going to have to do some things. I think that Vancouver is a team that is still weighing all sorts of different options, especially if they can pull off the Ekman-Larson deal. I think there's some teams out there that are big wild cards. I think Minnesota is one. I think Boston is one. I think these are some teams that are not only trying to make budget trades, but they're trying to make hockey trades too. And I think they've got a lot of balls in the air. So I do think that it has the potential to be wild. I think the other thing that's happened, Gary, is that there's teams out there that have the ability to take players and salary. That's Detroit, that's Ottawa, that's New Jersey. Buffalo potentially is a team there too. And what are they asking to do that? Like, I do think the whole thing with Fleury is that you guys are trying to trade Fleury through someone to someone else so someone can take some of that money and make it easier. But what's it going to cost to do that? And, I've heard some teams are asking an awful lot for that. You have to navigate that too.
What's an awful lot? You're talking about a sweetener where you would attach a draft pick to a trade. What's an awful lot?
Or a good prospect.
Okay. How high a pick?
Well, last year, Toronto did it with Marleau. It cost them a first-rounder.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
Now, this year, Detroit did it with Stahl. It's a second-rounder that's at the top of the second. It's
a high pick.
I wouldn't say it's the top. It's a decent pick in the second round.
Yeah.
But still, a lot of people thought that the Rangers were fortunate to get away with that.
Okay, go break some stories. Thanks a lot, bud.
Thanks, Elliot.
All right, guys. Great to chat with you. Have a good day.
Great. Thanks, Elliot. Thanks for joining us. Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet in Canada, as plugged in as anybody in the game. He is one of the best. There have been reports, too, about Taylor Hall. Former league MVP, that Arizona is looking for a trade partner maybe to move his you'd trade his rights, and a team would have some time to try to negotiate with him between now and if he did reach free agency on Friday.
I think Taylor Hall, I don't like him if he is your guy. If he is driving the bus, I think it's a problem. I think in the right place with the right leadership, if he's a complementary player, he can be a bit of a matchup nightmare if he's on your second line. He's got a ton of speed. He can still score. And I think, has he matured? To me, he's a very interesting piece for the right team. Like if you took him to Pittsburgh, all of a sudden you could like a team like that their window is almost closing, like the way what they did with Phil Kessel when they entered. Yeah. Phil Kessel was the same guy, right? Everyone kind of he's a problem guy. He doesn't work out. 2 Stanley Cups later, right? Like I think you put Taylor Hall in the right situation, he can really help a team.
Be interesting to see. There's rumors about Tyler Johnson, with Tampa Bay. He's got 4 years left.
They got cap issues, so
yeah, for sure.
He's very portable, right? Like, and that's the one thing about Vegas. Like, I don't know what Kelly McCrimmon's going to do or what he's not going to do. He's got one no move. That's Mark Stone, and he's not moving him anyways. There's a couple of guys. Fleury has 10 teams. There's a handful of guys. I think Pacioretty has 10 teams. But after that, it's, there's a bunch of guys that are on term that have no say in the process. So I don't know if Kelly McCrimmon, I don't think he needs a blockbuster. They just lost in the conference final. I mean, I think you need to be careful about doing too much and overreacting because you didn't win the Stanley Cup. And I know they're very close. But like Tampa, they added.
You got to add the right pieces. That's what Tampa
Yeah.
did. It wasn't, it was Barclay Goodrow, Blake Coleman,
Fringe.
Zach Bogosian, Luke Shen, those type of ads that really, solidified them as a group. They added some character spots. They added some depth to their team. And, you mentioned the Golden Knights are in they're not far off. It's you can't panic, but there's subtle moves that can be made to make them better.
Would you like a little more grit?
I always like grit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they have not, and I'm with you. If you get to the Final Four, you're doing a lot right.
Yeah.
They have not been shy at all here for 3 years
No,
about making moves, bold moves.
Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee, a couple of things. They are not afraid to get the bat off the shoulder. They're not afraid to make mistakes. And that is, no trade is perfect. And I bet you they look at the Pacioretty trade and they go, we got a great scorer in Pacioretty. Well, Tatar is produced in Montreal, and Nick Suzuki is ready to be a really good player. I think you look at the Stone trade and, Brandstrom's, he's rumored to be traded. He's in trade rumors again now. Yeah. And so, there are things that giving up on young players and picks is always dangerous. And we just don't see very many player-for-player deals. So, the deals become, you can't figure out the deal for 5 years sometimes because of all the moving pieces. But not afraid would be the tag for Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee.
It is nighttime at noon from Rock Creek Cattle Company in Deer Lodge, Montana. Dave, Shane, and Gary with you on a Monday. We'll be here with shows all week long. We'll step aside and have one final segment for today's show, nighttime at noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
It's been a vision from our owner, Bill Foley, since day one to have a third jersey that's truly reflective of the entertainment and sports capital of the world, Las Vegas. And so we knew we had to do a gold jersey, and we knew we had to get it right. It's been about a 2-year process working with the NHL, Adidas, and really through multiple rounds of testing, we really think we have the first metallic gold jersey in sports. It was all about how do we do something different that the league has never seen before, and we really tried to push Adidas out of their comfort zone to do something that they've never done before, which is a truly metallic ultra knit fashion, and the jersey is reflective of that. It's not just a hockey jersey, it's a fashion statement for sure. The gold jersey is really reflective of Las Vegas. It's the perfect thing to wear at a game at T-Mobile Arena. It shines. It actually has sparkles when there's movement. Or if you go out in the town on the Las Vegas trip, it's the perfect thing to wear for a night out as well. It really is reflective of Las Vegas and the Vegas Golden Knights. We're actually offering an exclusive number of 777 treasure chests that include the gold jersey. It includes customization, a special gold coin, and then we're also offering special metallic gold Adidas Boost shoes with that for $777. As you can see, the gold is truly metallic gold, and we've got our mantra from our owner, Bill Foley, that says, always advance, never retreat on every single collar. And it's got the alternate metallic construction. It's got the filigree and the white sleeves and the steel gray numbers and letters. The VGK Gold jersey is available now at the Arsenal at City National Arena, the Armory at T-Mobile Arena, or online at VegasTeamStore.com. It's so Vegas.
I'll be roaming around Vegas up to the bottom of this up.
That is Golden Knights General Manager Kelly McCrimmon. He and his entire hockey operations staff up here at Rock Creek in Montana getting set for the NHL draft coming up today, tomorrow and Wednesday, and then free agency kicking in on Friday. Reminder that Nighttime at Noon is brought to you by Silver State Schools Credit Union, prioritizing people over profit at Silver State Schools Credit Union. Become a member today, and by members' choice, this institution is not federally insured. Shares insured up to $250,000 by ASI. Full details at silverstatecu.com. Much different way that they're going to do the draft this year, Shane, to say the least, with the virtual draft. But, you know, Gary kind of touched on this earlier, as did Kelly McCrimmon. Obviously, you know, we'd like to get back to the way it used to be. But for right now and the world we're in, it does provide maybe a little bit of an advantage. You can have candid, open conversations here.
That's certainly the biggest advantage, being able to be open. And not only – you know, just a few guys, they'll be able to get input from the whole staff. And I think it's important because, and Gary touched on it right off the top of the show, these guys, one guy may have more knowledge than another, and you can get that information quicker because it's wide open. Nobody else is going to hear them talking about it. They don't need to hear about someone trying to overhear them having conversations. And, you know, and they've done a great job because they've already prepped for it in June. They've done it. Their work's done. They're extremely organized, extremely prepared. And that's the most important thing when you get to a draft.
Well, they scout. Each scout has a primary area, right? And so if you're talking about one player, you know, one scout may have seen him 5 or 7 times, but another guy who scouts another area, he might have overlapped. Yeah. And there may have been one thing that he saw, you know. Some guy might have seen, you know, Shane on a Friday night in Prince Albert where he did something that, I like that, you know, and it's stuck in the back of his head. And now if it's a discussion between two guys, you want to say something, so come back to me
Yeah.
because I have a really good story. But go ahead.
Well, I just want to say another advantage, and Kelly's talked about it a lot, because the scouts, a lot of this is through video of these players. And then if they need to kind of, they don't have a clear memory, they watch them, they're going to have that ability to pull up a clip of these guys, watch them in game, and maybe reassess quickly or take another look if, they're second guessing a certain, skill set of the player, whatever it may be. They're, all these tools that you wouldn't normally have, you're going to be able to have now.
I watched prior to the expansion draft. I got to sit in the room a couple times, and they would bring a player up on the screen. And now these were professionals, and so they had their stats, they had their salary, but they would have video, and the whole time they're having the discussion, that video was playing, and guys were watching the video, and a guy would make a play, and he'd be like, yeah, that's he can do that, so it can remind you. I was listening to a podcast the other day. They were talking about the 1987 draft, and the Toronto Maple Leafs had the number 7 pick. Jerry McNamara was the general manager. Floyd Smith was the scout that was their chief scout. They got to number 7, and Joe Sakic is available.
Pretty good player.
Luke Richardson, who had a great career, good young was a defenseman, and Floyd Smith says, we should take Sakic, and John Brophy, who was the coach of the Leafs at the time, said absolutely not. We need to take the defenseman Richardson. Luke was playing in Peterborough, so he would have been able to have driven up and seen him play maybe once, or see him play in Toronto or whatever. And Harold Ballard's in the room, and Floyd Smith is really pushing. We got to draft Sakic. We got to draft Sakic. No. And then finally, Brophy says to Harold Ballard, "You got to weigh in here." And they were tight, right? So Ballard says to McNamara, "You got to draft Richardson." So they got a good player. Luke Richardson was fine. They missed out on one of the best centers in the history of the game. So the process has been refined to an extent where Kelly McCrimmon's not making that mistake, right?
Yeah.
And you'll be the video and the ability to have so much information via technology prevents those kind of boo-boos. And in a normal year, Kelly would travel and he'd see all the players as well.
I've told you guys this story, but it's worth repeating. In my old job in Boston, the Bruins, you remember in 2015 they had the 3 consecutive picks in the first round, and they took Jacob Zaboral, who was yet to play in the league.
Jacob.
Then Jake DeBrusk, who's he's had a good career so
player.
far, and Zach Senyshyn. So they were 13, 14, and 15. Now back then, the thought I think was from Don Sweeney, the GM of the Bruins, was they wanted to try to package those, trade up, try to get Noah Hannafin, right, who was going to be obviously a high pick that year from Carolina. The next 3 players taken after those 3 players: Matt Barzell,
he's no good.
Kyle Connor,
he's worse.
Thomas Chabot.
Now, can you imagine they would have had how many more?
Put
Stanley
those 3
Cups?
players on that team right now, and look, I
They
know
wouldn't be
you
able to
can do
afford them
that.
all now, but-
Yeah, after every draft, you can go back and nitpick it, and
Well, that's not nitpicking.
But
That's-
how often
that's
has a team
significant.
had 3 picks in a row in the first
Right.
round? Jake DeBrusk, the only one, and then you mentioned that it's incredible. Those
it's,
following 3 picks.
yeah, and that's
Barzal, Connor, and
Chabot.
Both.
Yeah. And the teams that do it well, and you think about those great New Jersey teams, the core of those teams really was drafted and developed with Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Lightning, the core of their team that just won the Cup, drafted and developed.
And you're not only talking first round, you want to talk about great drafts. You could talk about the Detroit Red Wings for so many years. Guys like that were their core, Zetterberg and Datsuk. They're like leftovers at the end of the draft.
Yeah.
Their European scouting was Ken Holland got guys. They were way ahead of everybody else in that regard, and they scored pretty well on some late picks.
Well, exciting week coming up.
Yeah, for sure. Those of you watching on the simulcast can see Shane has put on the metallic gold 3rd jersey. Don't try to sneak out of here with it. Like, you have to give it back.
This
It was
thing's
just
awesome.
a prop when Bill was on earlier.
I'm going gold.
What's it like when you hear your name at the draft? When they say,
Oh, it's good when you think it was good to finally hear it, because I thought I heard it earlier, but they didn't say my name. They said my teammate's name. Defenseman from the Prince Albert Raiders. I get to stand up, and they said Darren Wright. I said, that's not my name.
I knew the story. I didn't. That wasn't fishing.
It was
I wasn't
literally
trying to get
this.
that story
And
out
it was
of
the
you,
Boston
but
Bruins.
I'm glad we did.
Boston Bruins 5th round selection from the Prince Albert Raiders defenseman. And I went like this, and I go, Darren Wright.
Grab a seat, bud.
So I had to wait a couple more rounds.
What time are we on tomorrow? Go.
I don't know. Early enough, Lawman. We're on nighttime at noon and then 4 to 8 as
There you
well.
go.
This show's done from Rock Creek, nighttime at noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas.